Republican Party would like to cave on amnesty this upcoming week. To discuss this, really happy to be joined by Mike Krikorian with the Center for Immigration Studies. Mark, thank you for joining me. I've got much trepidation about my former Republican colleagues in the House. They've hatched this plan to vote on a couple of immigration bills. What are they talking about doing?
Just a quick background on this. The Democrats got together with a handful of open borders Republicans to try to force a bill to be voted on the floor. This is called a discharge petition. It doesn't matter, but it's basically it's a tactic, a gambit used to make an end run around the leadership. So that if they did that, the bill that would have ended up passing would have been terrible. It would have been an amnesty for the Dreamers without any balance, any enforcement, nothing, just a straight amnesty. And so the White House and the leadership got together to try to come up with a way that they could short circuit that and prevent that and get a bill that almost all the Republicans could be for, as basically as a way to kill this effort of the rhinos working together with the Democrats. So what they did is they came up with a bill, the leadership, the Speaker Ryan came up with a bill that basically took the original Republican immigration bill from a congressman named Bob Goodlatte, which is a pretty good bill. It was a compromise itself. It's got stuff in there I wasn't wild about, but it's a pretty good bill. I would comfortably, in good conscience, vote for that if I were a congressman. They took that and then they hacked pieces of it out and came up with basically a much weaker bill that they hope they can get almost all the Republicans to vote for so they could get it passed. And those two bills, the pretty good bill and the hacked down bill that, it's half of what the other one was, those two are the ones that are going to be moved in the floor. Both of them amnesty at least some significant number, all the DACAs, and then one of them, the weaker bill, amnesties maybe 2 or 3 times more people on top of the ones who got this DACA amnesty from Obama. And so basically, I think what's going to happen is that the rhinos are going to vote for the weaker bill, and the Freedom Caucus folks and the conservatives won't vote for it. The conservatives will vote for the stronger bill. The rhinos won't vote for it. The Democrats will vote against both of them. Every single one of them will vote no, without exception. And both things will end up crashing and burning. That's kind of the least bad option that I'm seeing now.
So, Mark, you don't see, and I agree, you're right, the Goodlatte bill, the stronger bill, clearly doesn't have enough Republican support to pass. But this weaker bill, you don't believe there's a combination of Republicans and Democrats that might pass that weaker bill?
I wouldn't bet my house that it's going to fail. I mean, I'm not that sure, but it fully funds the wall. And I mean, it does that. There's no, there's no sort of gimmicks in there to hide it or anything. It actually is not just authorizing money, which is like okaying it. It actually appropriates the money for the wall. So I don't see how any Democrats can vote for that. Maybe they will. I don't know. But I think they have, ginned up the hysteria among their own base so much that the wall has become, for them, a symbol of evil, that even the ones who voted for essentially what a wall was 10, 12 years ago when Congress did that, they'd have to vote against it now.
So the Democrats wouldn't touch that, even the weaker bill, because it's got funding for the wall. And am I correct, Mark, in the weaker bill, there is a pathway to citizenship, correct? Which the conservatives wouldn't support.
Yes, absolutely, there is. And look, I'm kind of a squish on that. I actually think if you're going to amnesty people, rip off the Band-Aid and get it over with. So I'm okay with the citizenship part. My issue is, do we have sufficient measures to contain the fallout, to balance off the effects of that amnesty? In other words, is the enforcement stuff strong enough? And even the weaker bill does have some good enforcement stuff. It's inadequate, but there's some important things in there. It's just that there isn't enough because the rhinos don't want it. But also the legal immigration consequences, because this is an important point. Why are we even doing this? Why did any of this happen?
Right.
Because these people, they're all adults now, the DACA people, but they came as before they turned 16, usually with their parents, and the point is they came through no fault of their own. Well, unless you change the way we do immigration of parents from what we have now, and the Goodlatte bill does change it, the weaker bill does not change it, all you're going to do is give amnesty to the parents too. It'll just take a few years longer. We are rewarding the parents under the guise of, you know, being merciful toward the children who aren't children, they're adults, but I mean, they're kids now. And that's unacceptable. I mean, for me, that's a deal killer.
And what's interesting, Mark, is the president came out this morning and said pretty much, you know, I don't support the weaker bill. While my understanding is yours, that the White House and leadership actually came together to craft that, didn't they? And then the White House tried to walk back what the president said. Where do you think the president is on this?
Yeah, the White House and Speaker Ryan worked daily, hand in hand, on this bill. I mean, I've talked to the people. That's actually what happened. I think the president, right. I mean, I watched that clip. It was a Fox News interview. And he was talking off the cuff. They were talking about North Korea and then talking about immigration. And the president was doing his usual kind of boastful thing. I don't think he understood what he was being asked about. So as soon as I heard it, I said, no, that's not what he really means. They're going to walk that back. And in an hour or two, they did. So,
Mark, last question. So, no, go ahead. Go ahead and finish that thought.
Yeah. What I was going to say is the White House has said and the president has said he's for both bills. And so I think what you may see is the conservatives vote for the good bill, the rhinos vote for the bad bill, and they both say, look, we supported the president's agenda. We supported the bill that he backs.
And in the end, Mark, you don't expect either bill to pass.
No, I do not. I mean, I could be wrong. The Goodlatte bill will definitely not pass. The other one, Speaker Ryan's bill, the weaker one, probably, I'm pretty sure is not going to pass. If it does pass, it's not impossible that the McConnell in the Senate could make a push for it, because if the president's for it and the House has passed it, he might actually put some effort into it. Although I don't even see how it passes the Senate, because they would need 9 Democrats to vote for it, and they might get 2 or 3. There's no way they're going to get 9 Democrats. So this whole thing is I think kind of an exercise in futility, except, and this I will give the Speaker and the White House some credit, there are some important principles in the bill, like trying to pay for the amnesty by cutting legal immigration, balancing it off. Some principles like that that I think are important to kind of get out there, even if this particular bill doesn't make it. Maybe a good bill in the future will contain that principle.
Wonderful. Mark, thanks so much for joining us. Mark Krikorian, Center for Immigration Studies. Really appreciate it. Hey, coming up, I've got some good Trump, some very, very good Trump.